Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Nook podcast. Good God, we're back again with the 28 or whatever later franchise. We're back again for the third one. It's weird because we've done them all like basically back to back. I think this is the fastest we've done a series yet. But yeah, I'm your host as ever, Pub8, back with the wind, aka the fan, but also my co-host, the Obsidian Nook. Why don't you say hello?
Hello.
Hello. It is still hot as fuck, so I do apologise again if the wind blows softly through the trees, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, we are back again. We have literally just got back from watching 28 Years Later, the newest of the franchise. And oh boy, we have some questions that hopefully will get answered in the sequel coming out in January, I believe.
Yeah, that's what you said.
That's according to Wikipedia, but Wikipedia is just unreliable, I guess. But yeah, this is the latest we've seen the apocalypse in the franchise. For obvious reasons, if you couldn't tell by the titles of the last two. So, yeah, so I was looking forward to this as soon as it got announced, and the cast was announced as well, and it looked super fucking freaky. And they were like, yeah, we're gonna make this really fucking, like, balls to the walls, essentially. With its, like, infected. Because they're not zombies. I'm gonna do this every time we cover a 28 film. Because they're not zombies. Which they repeatedly tell you. So yeah, it answered a few questions, it leaves more questions as well, that presumably we will hear the answers to, or at least have some indication of, when they make the bone, well, when the Bone Temple comes out in January. Yeah, so basically what I thought was going to be this kid is just going to be an arsehole throughout the entire film turned out to be a lot better than that, because if you've seen the other episodes, I don't like kid actors, because usually they're pretty bad, but I think he and everyone in this film did a good job. Including the pieces of shit. Mainly Aaron Taylor-Johnson turned into a bit of a prick. But I think he knew what his wife was going through. But spoiler alert! Good grief. We need to discuss it. Basically, his wife and Spike's mum has cancer. But because there's no doctors or there's a doctor, played by Voldemort. He manages to diagnose and then euthanize her, which is depressing. But unfortunately, I have to ask, how did you feel about that? As obviously you've been through that. Well, not being euthanized, but knowing. I thought you did. As soon as they mentioned cancer, I was like, I'm gonna hold your hand. I was like, I'm just gonna reach over and hold on. Do you want to talk about some of it? You don't have to, obviously. I can give basic details, or do you want to sort of...
That just kind of hit home, because he was like, well, he was way, way younger than me.
He's 12 at the time, I believe.
20.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I think they portrayed
it.
properly. But I think what didn't sit right with me is the whole, like, because it's like, I thought it was going to be, what was it?
Alzheimer's.
Because
she's not old, but she's...
But she kept having those memory things where it was like, her memory was, it was really clear. She was remembering stuff, and Ron kind of said, oh, I twigged when the nosebleeds happened. If I'm honest, I don't remember my mum having nosebleeds.
I suppose he was with her all the time, though, wasn't
he? She had different cancer. Yeah, I think the bit that made it worse was the fact the skull bit where not only did the doctor then kill her, but then took her skull and basically cremated it. And then...
So for some context, Dr. Kelson, who is, as I mentioned, Lord Voldemort, he euthanizes the mother, and he has built a temple made out of human bones, both infected and uninfected. As he says, memento mori, which is like remember the dead in Latin, something like that. So his way of remembering the dead is basically building this giant structure out of bones and skulls. There's another guy who we'll get into in a minute, who also dies along the way, but he basically cremates them down to the skull, cleans it, sterilizes it, and basically builds like a column of skulls. And among them, the boy puts his mother's there. Yeah. Is that the explanation you wanted?
Yeah, that just didn't sit right with me. Like, I get the fact that she knew she was dying and there's no ticket out. But I guess... Fucking... I mean, my mum got told she only had like 2 weeks left and she did 11 months before she then passed. So
I think she went out... I think she wanted Kelson to do it. I don't think he just killed her. I think she clearly wanted to be euthanized by him. Just to minimise...
I generally don't know. Just...
Yeah.
Process
Yeah. I think that sort of made you stop thinking about everything else a bit.
I mean, they filmed it well.
It's a beautiful film.
You know, they kept to the facts of cancer, so they couldn't really done anything differently.
They didn't throw in cancer as a plot point and then not actually use it for plot and just be like, you've got cancer, oh no, and now I'm dead. You know, they actually used it well.
I think it might be the bone bit, you know, because it's just disgusting.
The Bone Temple, as it's called. Hence the sequel. Do we want to move on from the depressing shit and go back into the fun stuff? So yeah, as we mentioned, we'll talk about sausages. Good grief, and we thought the first one was bad. Anyway, so as we mentioned, we wanted to see, I was at the very least curious to see what they could do with the infected to make it different. So as everyone sort of predicted, the virus has evolved so they don't basically starve to death. Because not only do they infect people, they also eat fish. Because right at the very end, one of the infected ignores Spike and goes after the fish he was cooking. So the virus has evolved so that it basically is like doing self-preservation on itself, where now it's not just like we need to kill everything and not kill everything, infect everything and make it one of us. But yeah, the evolution has happened in interesting ways. We now have new variants, which is one of them is called the Alpha, where it's a big fucking monster of a human being that's been infected.
Takes a lot to kill.
Literally gets like shot to pieces with arrows because guns aren't around. Guns are gone. Yeah, there's not I was gonna say there's not a single gun, but we'll carry on. It's literally just bows that they've handmade because it's 28 years in, and without the proper resources, guns are going to be useless. But yeah, so these big fuckers are just taking arrow after arrow. There's only 2 of them in the film, and only one of them dies. One of them chases them over their bridgeway, and then just gets like this giant like ballista bolt to the chest that just flattens it after being like riddled with arrows. They are fucking scary, the big ones. The second one doesn't die. He just gets repeatedly like tranquilized, which is interesting to know as a friendly reminder that they are still people, so they can just be knocked out.
You'd think that in order to eliminate the virus completely, you would have to be killing wherever the virus is, sorry.
Well, it's in the bloodstream.
Sorry.
That's why they go down like a regular person, whether it's a body shot, a headshot. This isn't a zombie as you wish, but the virus has clearly evolved to, as they say, like a steroid to make these alphas.
I'm sorry. Why have the alphas got really massive sausages? Like, just.
Right, she wanted. Let's get this out of the way. Basically, every single infected in this film is hanging schlong, or is just completely naked. Like, there are dicks, tits, asses, everything. From skinny to old to young to big bloated fucking crawling things. There are dicks everywhere. And hanging schlong. It is a lot. There was none of that in weeks. 28 days, it was basically just Cillian Murphy's cock and balls and arse hanging out. But this one is just like every infected is coming at them completely naked. It is.
And also, they can get pregnant now.
And apparently, whether or not that's true, either the woman, there was a person, an infected, who gives birth to an uninfected baby. Because, as well, Kirsten, was that his name, the doctor? He theorises that the placenta managed to block out the virus somehow. But it doesn't answer the question of whether or not this woman was infected when she was pregnant, stayed infected, and then gave birth, or if the infected are just fucking.
I like how you're just straight to the point. I would have beaten around the bush a little bit, you know?
The infected are going out on romantic walks. When a mummy infected and a daddy infected love each other very much. What would the birds and the bees be for this? But yeah, I think it is that the infected are breeding, because Samson, the big alpha that Kirsten names him, he hears the baby being given birth to, comes in and attacks, picks up the lifeless like mother, and just flings her away. He clearly recognises that this is the baby's mother, and possibly his romantic partner, shall we say, his side hoe, and then goes nuts. Yeah, so we'll probably find out whether or not they're breeding, or if, I mean, it probably is that they're breeding. I don't think we're going to have a one-off moment where it's like, oh, a woman's infected while being pregnant, so she's able to still give birth to a human. I think the infected are fucking, and it makes me uncomfortable.
I was uncomfortable. That many sausages on the screen.
Yeah, lots of dicks, lots of tits. I mean, this is a 15, and there was a lot of nudity. Like, either the infected have ripped their clothes off, or they've rotted away over 28 years. But it's too many floppy dicks. She had like a cardigan almost.
They wear them when they have
Is that a sarong?
What they call a bikini on, and they go to.
Oh, there must be a sarong. Basically, it's like this thin bit of material that she like wears as a cardigan, if you wish. So, again, it probably is that they're fucking. Some of them have like a few scraps of clothes, but yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll find out. But yeah, so you got your infected. We also find out more of the world around the UK. Europe, as it exists, because it still exists, everywhere outside of the UK is still active. The scene at the end of 28 Weeks where it shows Paris still happened, but they managed to contain the outbreak that happened outside of the UK, which begs the question, what happened to the kids and the pilot from the second one? Apparently, when I was reading up about it, because I'm part autistic apparently when it comes to films, but I think one of the writers said that he believes that in the universe they just straight up nuked France.
Okay, no.
I mean, it contained it. That would have been like ground zero, because there's the... When was the Channel Tunnel built? No idea. It could be they got through there, or that somehow another virus outbreak happened because of Andy from the second one. We'll probably never find out unless they throw him in the third or second one. But yeah, so we find out the world's active, it's quarantined, and that NATO basically patrols around making sure no one gets in and out. But unfortunately, a Swedish ship crashes off screen and a bunch of soldiers make it to shore. Immediately are basically all killed except for one, who is the guy we talked about earlier. He basically helps them get to near the doctor, and he dies when Samson rips his head off screen. Samson is fucking scary because he is shown throughout the film. Because there's the flashes. It's basically night vision, but it's tinged red. Where they just kill this deer and he rips its head off and mounts it on a tree like a warning. It's scary. Those bits are really cool. The night vision where they're all like in night vision where the eyes go green except it's red. That's fucking scary to think about what that would be like in that world. The fast zombies are scary. The Walking Dead, piss off. The fast ones, nuh-uh. But yeah, so I have to talk about the soldiers getting murked. Most of them are basically just bitten, but one of them gets like, if you've seen or played The Last of Us, you know of the bloater. The bloater is a gentleman that likes to rip your head in half by getting in the jaws and... Except Samson decides to grab the top and pull the top of the skull off and the spine, like the fucking Predator, and beats another soldier to death with it, which is horrific. And then he does the same to the other soldier that helps Spike and his mum out. It's awful. But it's funny watching the soldier try to explain modern technology to a child that was born in the apocalypse. Because he's showing him like his phone. I'm surprised Spike, A, didn't ask what a gun was, and B, why didn't he get the gun that the soldier dropped eventually, you know? Because he when he gets killed by Samson, he drops his gun, and then they have to leave it, but could have gone back for it, maybe?
We need to talk about this, like, group at the end.
We need to talk about the Jimmy Savile cosplayers.
Wouldn't tell they just came on screen and they were just doing what?
This has come just after all the emotional scenes of Spike's mum being euthanized, the big emotional goodbye, and then it's like the kid from the beginning of the film. We have the moment from 28 Weeks where you have the big, like, the family being slaughtered. As soon as they put kids in a room together, I was like, all them kids are gonna die.
Teletubbies sat there with each other. What the fuck?
Yeah, I was like, I think this is the actual film. So yeah, the kid who turns out to be, who's named Jimmy, ironically, he basically, he's at home and his family gets overrun immediately. All the kids just like ripped apart off screen, which is fair enough. Kid violence is still looked down upon unless it's Aaron Taylor Johnson smacking a kid in the face. Fair dues to him, but yeah. It starts, and then he goes to the church, and then his dad is like overwhelmed by infected because he's a priest, and he gives him the cross. It's clear that it's like Jesus and his followers, because as he's being like infected, he puts his arms out like the cross, and then while he's like turning, he's still doing it, and then he just turns into a regular infected. But yeah, Jimmy comes back at the end. He is the cult leader of a group of people who are like ninjas, may I add, and all the cosplaying as Jimmy Savile. Please bear in mind, this man was a sexual predator, but because of the timeline, Jimmy Savile never had his crimes revealed to the public, because the outbreak happened in whenever the film came out, 2002, I think, or 1. But yeah, the Jimmy Saviles at the end are very weird. It's such a tonal shift from this like really depressing moment to then just Jimmy Savile. I'm surprised they didn't just put a guy in as Jimmy Savile at this rate. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was being ready to get let down. I was getting my hopes up because I was like, this is the first one we've had in 18 years? 2007 was 28 weeks? I was like, oh god, they're doing another one, this is going to be crap. And then it was just like, I really enjoyed it. It was a refreshing take, and the kills were really good as well. Probably the most horrific we've seen. And, for a series first, ow, I banged my head, no one got their eyes plucked out. No one had their thumbs dug into someone's thumbs dug into their eyes for a change. We just had 2, like, predator kills. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. You said you're not sure. You didn't pay for a ticket, so that's fine. I paid for it, we didn't go in illegally. Thought I'd just clarify that. But yeah, I still enjoyed it. I think, hopefully, the sequel and potential prequel will make light of some more answers to these questions this film has asked. Apparently, as we said at the top, it may be January it's coming out. I'm gonna wait for an official trailer before I definitively be like, yeah. But Cillian Murphy's back for that one. So this is the first time we will be having a returning cast member. So that should hopefully answer questions from... There's so many questions this series leaves, honestly. But we'll have to wait and see for January. But yeah, other than that, this one's probably been quite long. Because usually when we go to the cinema and come back, it's usually quite a long one. DVDs, not so much. But, yeah. Anything you want to add while you doom scroll some shit again? No? We talked a lot in this one. I wish it was something that wasn't depressing for you. It was very unfortunate. But yeah. Jesus Christ. We're sticking again. The fan has probably covered up half of the things I've said in this video. But yeah. We're going to probably cover something a bit more happy between now and then. But I've been your host as ever, Purple8, joined once more by the Obsidian Nook, whose links you can find in the description down below alongside all of mine. And we will see you at some other time for a film that's happier than this. Because, Jesus Christ, it's depressing.